Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Reality Roundup. I am Maddie. That is Mariama. Today, we are going to be talking about episode 7 of season 3 of The Traitors US. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Maddie. How are you?
I'm doing good. Had a little bit of a yawn, but I am doing good. Did you like this episode, friend?
And then a hero comes along with
Because
the strength.
yes, yes,
I need a
freedom.
hero. Freedom, freedom, I can't.
Yes, album of the year. Well, artist with album of the year. I was
Freedom coming loose.
I was so grateful. I was
Bucket,
so
bucket.
grateful.
That's the
Okay.
album of the year.
Whoa, yes, that is album of the year.
Um,
Beyonce hype over here.
Thomas Sandoval. He lives. Tom Sandoval lives.
And he is a perfect example of a broken clock is right twice a day.
Hey,
He did it.
made it happen.
He
Oh, I
did
was
in his little
we're
tracksuit.
not even gonna bury the lead. I
Oh,
was so shook. I was like, Tom's the only person on board. There's no way. I was like, Tom is leading the charge against Boston Rob. There's no way they believe him. This sucks.
he put on that Run DMC tracksuit and he said, I'm getting to work today.
Baby, the way he clocked Rob, he was like when they got in that room with Rob, him
Hmm.
and Dylan, and they were
Hmm.
like, Rob was like, and they're trying to frame me. He was like, let's be for real though. There's a lot of evidence against you.
He was possessed by the spirit of Derek this episode. He locked in as though Tom has never locked in
And he
before in his
said,
life.
Robert, please, like, let's not act like they making up lies on you. Like, isn't it
Hmm.
just very convenient that everyone you had an argument with ends up murder? That's a little too convenient, ain't it?
Literally too convenient at this point in time. And then anyway, there's a structure to the episode. We will get to the structure of the episode.
Mm. Thomas
Fantastic.
Sandoval, Ariana girl, I'm so sorry.
Ariana who?
Ariana, his ex that he cheated on
Oh,
very
okay. I think you said
publicly.
Ariana Grande. I said, what does she
I
have to do with
said,
Tom Sandoval?
Ariana girl, I'm so sorry, but I must stand. Oh,
We must stand. I'm sorry, Queen. I don't know nothing about
forgive
this.
me. Forgive me. He's trash.
Yes,
This is true.
he is. But in this context, he ate no crumbs. So sorry,
I
Queen.
need a hero. He's
One
a
for you.
survivor. All right, let's get started. Let's
Yes.
get into that turret.
Yeah. The only thing I had said was it was a mess.
Um, I want to talk about some of these names that got thrown out. So Rob wants Derek. Danielle is vehemently disagrees. No, hell no. Can't do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Carolyn wants Sam,
Hmm.
and Danielle and Rob disagree. Rob says he doesn't do anything, and Carolyn said precisely, and I said precisely. That's why
Yeah.
you get rid of him. And
Oy
Danielle
vey.
was like, I don't know how that makes sense because I like I wrote a thing and I was just like the logic of murder because at the end of this episode I really want to talk about like these traitors
Yeah.
and why it's been so disappointing this season to watch these traitors.
Hmm.
Then Rob refuses to give the girls information about who had the shield in his group. Now,
Yeah.
if you will recall, Carolyn, Chriselle,
Hmm.
and Dylan had the shields.
Hmm.
So Rob refuses to tell them that Dylan had the shield out of his group. Then Rob suggests Dylan for murder. And I say, what is he trying to pull?
You're right. I did as a one episode passer, I did not pick up on that because you told me this last episode, if you go to murder somebody who has a shield, like if you legitimately do not know, then they show up to breakfast anyway.
Mm-hmm. So essentially, there wouldn't have been any murder that night, and they would have
Mm.
gone, okay, they try to murder somebody with a shield. And like if you don't tell them that Dylan has the shield, so my guess, the best I can make of this is that he didn't want to tell them that Dylan has the shield, wanted to propose Dylan for murder, have them murder him for Dylan to show up in the morning so everybody can be shocked. But I don't know what that does for him and how that advances his agenda because you just keep an extra traitor, I mean an extra faithful in the game for longer and Derek presumably is still campaigning against you all day and then
Yeah.
the next day. Or you can say, hey, Carolyn, Chriselle, and Dylan has shields. Maybe you expose that the next morning and be like, I would
Mhm.
never want to murder any of them. So obviously I'm not a traitor because why would I want to murder my best bud Dylan, my survivor alumni Carolyn, or
Yeah.
Chriselle, who I have dinner with every night?
That
Maybe,
makes sense.
maybe
That
that.
makes sense. I feel like
Um,
that would make the most sense in Boston Rob's thinking.
but Danielle made a really good point. She was like, Dylan believes in all of us. Dylan is our fourth traitor. We cannot get rid of it.
He clocked Bob the drag queen and then hasn't been able to clock since.
And he's been trusting of all the other traders in the game. He just didn't
Yeah.
like the drag queen.
Yes, which is
Bob
again
Bob the
wild.
Queen. I loved how Dolores did that.
What a mess. That was an absolute mess. Well, and then
um
we go ahead, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say Danielle suggest or no. Carolyn suggests Sierra and Danielle's immediately no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they came to a consensus because it really did just seem like we were just throwing names and running around and throwing names and running around. But
I would like to see more of that about how they come to a consensus. That's been my consistent complaint about the turret is for the edit, obviously we find out in the morning with everybody else, but I want to know more about the
it's
thinking.
because there is no like cohesion amongst these traders because we
Mm,
typically do get like the three traders or four or whatever, however many, throwing out a name and going, hey, what about this person? I think this person because of this, and this reason they're
mm,
beefing with this. We can pin it on this person, so we should like every trader
mm.
or the traders would usually talk and then be like, oh, that's a good idea because I saw them have an argument with this, so I can leak that to the group, and then we can
Yeah.
try to get sus on that person. This turd is so um dysfunctional.
Disorganized,
Yeah,
dysfunctional.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's so like incohesive that
Mm-hmm.
they literally know they're not like they know they're not going to be able to agree on a name. So everybody just throws out a name. Everybody else shoots it down immediately, and they're like, "See, I tried." And two of them at least are resigned to not even trying to like explain their agenda,
Yeah.
or their thinking to the other ones.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, which is why I'm shook for next episode because I don't know what's gonna happen, especially with that little snippet that we saw at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm. Oh
where do
my
you want to
gosh.
get to next?
Well, we go to breakfast next, and the Ivar hate was funny. I'm sorry.
Talk about it.
It was the way Brittany was looking at Ivar during breakfast when there I think the first two or three people in there was just so funny to me. And she's in confessional and she's like, he doesn't do anything. He's furniture. All he does all day is make tea and serve it.
Make
And
tea and
I
deliver it.
and I was like, that is in his DNA. He's a Mountbatten. That's all he knows how to do.
Yeah.
That's
The
all he knows
funny
how to do.
the funniest thing was my queen Gabby. Gabby was like
Oh,
I love the way she speaks. I wish we heard more of
oh,
her.
I love her
She was
voice.
like, and Ivar, I thought he was gonna be dead yesterday. And
Camera
he was
cut
like,
to Ivar.
he's like, well, good thing I'm so. She's like, oh, I'm so dead.
No apology. Just oh, I'm so dead. I was like, Gabby, I love you, sweetheart. You are
She's so
fantastic.
funny. She's like,
So
I'm. This is gonna look crazy, but I voted for Rob because Derek's argument was really compelling.
I love her. I'm so glad she's part of the Alphabet
I'm a friend to
Mafia.
everybody.
She's so cute. I love her. I'm
How
truly
did?
obsessed.
Oh, you were on The Bachelor. How did that go for you? Well, I'm a
I'm a
lesbian.
lesbian. I was like, you work. Absolutely.
She's the most entertaining person on this show, like by
Bachelor so
far.
bad that it caused your gay awakening is hilarious.
Till death to us part.
Nor and it's so funny because I hate vocal fry. Like the Kardashians vocal fry, can't stand it. But Gabby's vocal fry is so perfect. I love
It's
it.
amazing.
Ugh, Queen Gabby, we love you so much. And you usually serve a fantastic outfit. Even though, side note, fashion side note, as I like to do, nobody was serving this morning at breakfast.
You know, like Gabby's fit. I feel like Sierra really took a
Sierra
step
served.
back. Um, no, I feel like she took a step back. I didn't like the fit. It wasn't. I like people on
Oh.
theme. Like this is a cute little number,
Hmm.
not for the manner.
Valid. It was
Go
very
ahead and
much giving New York City mob wife in the 80s.
I was gonna say 42-year-old hot girl living, still trying
Hmm.
to cling on to her glory days,
Hmm. The fur
trying to
coat was
cling on
doing
to
a
the
lot.
cocaine 80s. It's
Ah!
2004 now. Like,
It's 2000. Not the cocaine. Yes, it was very much giving Ivana Trump. Yes. Sorry, not Gabby. Sorry, Sierra. Yes. Oh my goodness. So we're at breakfast. We're still
I
at
thought Danielle looked
breakfast.
good. I feel like Danielle always makes an attempt at the theme, and it always works out for the most part because she's the most
Yeah.
on theme.
Yes.
She's looked good all season in my opinion. Even when she was in her little Russian FSB number.
I was gonna say her soup bowl hat, her Panera bread hat.
She had on a papuka.
Danielle, we're sorry. We're not sorry at all because that's actually very fair. And this is when Tom finally gained some brain cells.
No, 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 no. Before that,
Oh.
Dylan gets in. Dylan and Rob are the first two back, and Alan is
Mm-mm.
talking about Derek's murder, and Dylan is like, Rob, I need to tell you something. I have an idea of who the traitor might be.
And
Um,
well, because he says that Derek told him,
yeah,
I'm about
Derek.
to get murdered, and these are two traitors that I'm pretty sure. And he says, if I'm remembering this correctly, he said, you, Rob,
Well,
like
no,
based
no,
on
no,
the
not yet. Like this is
oh.
still at breakfast where he's just
Oh,
like,
I'm
I
right.
can't say anything. I'll talk to you when nobody's here. Then they start walking, and he tells Rob, he's like,
Mm.
there are two, um, you for sure, and I'm not gonna mention that when I tell everybody else. And Brittany was the second one, and Rob's like, thank you, Dylan.
Dylan, my dear, the way that you got the wool pulled over your eyes by Mr. Boston is truly, truly
You
wild.
know, the funniest thing to me is that like they're having that conversation, which I think they're trying to like keep private, and Tom walks right up to them, and they just keep talking like he's not there, and he's just like, oh, oh,
Like
just like scurries
literally as though
after
they
them.
don't notice Tom is there, like at
No,
all. And I was
uh,
like, damn.
but then he does join them later on, and then you can tell us what
Hmm.
happens
Do you
there.
think Ivar made the tea that Tom was drinking?
I don't know. I don't.
Ivar has one purpose, and it is spreading British tea.
Ivar needs to be dead, and oh, he has a shield. I was gonna say he needs to be dead by breakfast tomorrow, but.
He's a shield.
Hmm.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I forgot about the mission. Yeah. Anything else for
Tom,
breakfast?
no, no, no. Tom Dillon. Well, yeah, let's get into Tom Dillon and Boston Rob speaking
Oh, yes, when they're
in the
sitting down.
study.
I mean, Dylan, tell me when this happens because I can't remember exactly when this happens. But Dylan says to Boston Rob, I'm not going to bring up the Boston Rob thing to other people. But then he does bring it up to somebody at some point.
He brings it up at the table, but I think when he speaks to Tom, he really, with Tom and Rob present, he says, you know, hey, I was talking to Dylan last night. I mean, not Dylan,
Derek.
Derek. Was talking
Mm.
to Derek last night, and he was really sure that Brittany was a traitor because, you know, when I was going to vote, Brittany was really insistent on getting me to
Yes.
not vote for Rob, and it's like she wanted him in the game for a purpose. And Rob hops on and is like, yeah, yeah, yeah. She wanted me in the game so that they could pin Derek's murder on me because obviously she's a traitor. And Tom was like, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. You expect me to believe that instead of you being a traitor, systematically murdering everybody that speaks up against you, that Brittany, who hasn't been on anybody's radar, is the traitor, systematically killing everybody that has an argument with you to pin it on you? You're not Kate, baby. Stop. Like, stop.
Tom again, Tom, those brain cells came
The way
together.
I don't know what Tom did that morning, but he was so lucid. He must have popped. He must have took his meds.
Lucid is
He
crazy.
must have took his meds because this is the most coherent I've seen Tom all season long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, I think the power of the Mountbatten tea got to him finally, and he had enough and he was finally put
And
together.
the funny thing is, I was like, yes, this point in the thing, I am so 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 excited. Then I was like, Tom is the voice of reason because they show Boston Rob in a car
Hmm.
with Sierra. With I don't know who he's sitting down and he's telling Sierra, you know, they trying to pin it on me. They trying to, and she's like, yeah. Of course. Well, I want to talk about them
Wow.
Sierra throwing a little slight shade at Danielle, like, why is she crying?
Oh my gosh, when the girlies were talking, yes, before the
She
mission.
was like, why is she crying? Like, that's her long lost man. Like, Derek didn't actually die. That kind
And
of
she
took
was
me out because I was like, damn.
because as I have said before, Danielle is always doing too much with the crying.
I'm gonna be so honest. I feel like it was working for her this episode. Like,
Really?
well, because like I was like watching this episode, and when she bust out crying, I was like, "Girl, please rein it in." And it was largely because I remembered on season one, Cody, who was a traitor, they had committed a murder, and he felt really guilty about it, and he was also very like
Hmm.
emotional about it, and that's how people found out. Like that's how people put it together that he was a traitor because they were like, "Why is Cody acting like that? He probably killed, and now he feels some type of way,"
Mm.
which was like totally true. But like with Cody, his disposition had been entirely different through the game to that point, and then
Okay.
it was like a abrupt change, and people were like, "That's weird. Like he's never reacted like this after a murder.
Yeah.
Like there's something going on." I feel like Danielle has been like consistently like doing too much. Like she is Captain.
Captain Crying Pants?
I know I was gonna say um she is the captain, the manager, the vice president of of operations, chief financial advisor of team doing too much. like like
Truly, truly. Founding member.
founding member.
Definitely still on the board because
Yeah.
like what are you like always doing too
Founding
much?
mother, period. Yeah, like I feel like she's been doing, I feel like, and I started seeing it a lot of the way that I see people
Hmm.
talking about Carolyn, and that we've seen people talking about Carolyn being like, oh, she's weird, oh, she's strange, but like they're not saying, oh, she's a traitor. Like for Danielle, they're going, oh, she's doing too much, oh, she's crying too much, oh, she's too emotional, but they're not saying, oh, she's a traitor. So I'm like,
That's fair.
now, we have had more in like clips of people being like, could Danielle be a traitor? Maybe she's a traitor. Like
Yeah.
she's someone's name that has been in people's mouths. But I think most of those people are gone largely. And then I think the other thing is maybe we're seeing that from an editing perspective because it might come up against again like even today when Sierra was talking about it, Sierra wasn't
Mm.
even like, oh, it's suspicious that Danielle is crying. She was like, it's weird because Derek still lives in the real world.
Yes, exactly. The
Like
suspicion was just
you're annoying me because your personality is annoying is the situation I'm
exactly, exactly. Instead of like, oh, this is suspicious.
yeah,
Yes, I think
like
that's really
I
fair.
think regardless of how like odd you're being, if you're consistent, people are largely just gonna be like at a certain point, oh, that's just you. And I think
Yeah,
that's where
because
Danielle is now.
that's what gets Nikki is Chriselle being like, all of a sudden she had a face. And it's like,
Yeah. All of a
okay.
sudden she had an emotion.
Yeah.
Um um okay, so this mission,
Hmm.
they have to get wed to
Yeah.
another person in the game, and then they must hold hands. I girl, I barely watched this mission. Two times I've
Oh,
seen the episode. I skipped it the second time entirely. First time I
oh.
watched it through fingers because I don't do stuff like it. To be honest, of the three seasons, this one was probably the least grossed one of like the gross critter challenge because we've had it every
Oh.
season. But it was still gross critters, and I just wasn't. Especially like they love bringing the maggots and roaches and whatever they got going on and dropping it on people's head. They did that last season too. Last season was much worse. Like last season they were like in a dark cabin like with no light, and then they were
Yeah.
just releasing these critters all around them, and they had to like read a map and do a thing and then crawl
Hmm.
through a tunnel, and oh yeah, Lord have mercy. And then they talked about the smell too. It was like apparently stank.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, yes, of course it is. Out of all of the shows that we have watched together for the pod, and all of the challenges and or missions, this is the first time that I could say with 100% clarity that I would be just fine.
yeah, no, couldn't do it. I don't like things crawling on me. I don't like that feeling. Also like bugs and stuff, they make noises and stuff. Yeah, I
This would
couldn't do
be
it.
very easy for me. I would
I
like
could I
even
could do the hand holding part as soon as they would have dropped stuff on my head. I really would have needed the talking that Sierra got. I would have needed that like consoling.
I probably and low for me to say this is crazy, but Sam and Dylan, the way that they handled it, and Ivar, I guess too, that would have been me. It just that stuff like does not bother me. If the weirdly enough, if the bugs were dead, I would have been like Sierra. But with the bugs are alive and this, I love snakes anyway. Like that would have been completely and totally fine with
Mm,
me. Now, when we had the bats in on a different show, now that firm pass. I can't do rodents, flying rodents is not really a thing, but the bugs, eh,
yeah,
eh,
yeah,
even
no for
like the
me.
weird, yeah, I
Well,
could,
I mean, I can do most things if there's a competition element involved. Like I
yes, you
can
could.
like I can talk myself into like
Hmm.
holding firm, especially like under like competition. But like that would have seriously like messed with me. Ugh, super gross. Oh, I'm not
This is
into
the
that.
first time I've ever been like, I could do
And
this,
the snakes
no
was like, oh,
problem.
gee, I didn't even watch the snakes, but like someone's snake I saw was like had their face all up in their face.
Hmm.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Oh, I love
Absolutely not.
snakes.
Absolutely not. And Sam Snake was barely on him. Sam Snake was running away from him, and other people was getting strangled. Like, what is going on?
I love snakes. I don't like mind creepy crawlies when they're alive. And the scorpion is a scorpion technically, but it doesn't really sting. So I was just like, I would have been completely and totally
Was it
fine.
the
Now,
Taylor Swift scorpion?
did you say Taylor Swift scorpion?
That's what Alan called it.
I don't think that's the word he was saying.
What do you
What?
say?
I don't know what I do not know what it is called, but I don't think it's called a Taylor Swift scorpion.
I swear I heard Taylor Swift, and I low key like rolled my eyes because I was like, "Come on, y'all have to be for real."
Well, when you discover a new bug, you do get to name it whatever you want as an
No, no, no. That's
entomologist.
not what I'm talking about. Like she, of course, didn't name it. Like I'm talking to whoever named it. I probably should. Yeah, this is it. Taylor Swift Scorpion. Taylor Swift. Oh, it's like
Tailless whip. Yeah, okay, there we go. Because I was like, what? Oh, somebody's named their scorpion Taylor Swift.
no, no,
That
no, no,
was
no. This is like a thing. Like if you look here, like there, it's. I think it's called the Taylor Swift,
it
but
is.
like people refer to it as the Taylor Swift because it sounds
The name
similar.
sounds like that. Yeah.
Taylor Swift Scorpion Carrying Child. Arachnoboards.com.
Sense. They are arachnids, yes. Yeah, they're not venomous. I only
Oh,
know
I
what
don't
they
care
are.
that they are. You were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, the Taylor Swift Scorpion, like he said. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I may have convinced myself. It depends on how much I would have wanted a shield, or to add
Ooh, true.
$4,500 to the price pot because I could have probably talked myself through it, but it would have been something that oh my God, no, you know what? I don't want things falling on me, period. No, I wouldn't want, they were like, it's in my shirt, it's in my bra. Oh, hell no. Look, I can feel it. I can feel it on me right now.
I know you seem distressed. Let us move. I will say that digging through for the well, let me not get ahead of the actual mission itself.
Oh no,
In the
you can go. There's not
okay,
much else to talk about here.
when they because they have to do tie breaks, and the tie break was like the box was filled with things and you had to get a ring in there.
Hmm.
That I would be a little bit more hesitant on just because I don't want to kill anything in the box. But because
Weren't they already dead in the box?
no.
Oh.
No, they were very much alive. Um, dead bug again. Weirdly, live bugs don't bother me. Dead bugs, I don't like.
I
I
I heard you.
yes. But no, then they have to do the tie breaking, and then did I? Oh, I did like the way that Boston Rob was like. To me, it was like very much dad mode, like coaching
It
Sierra
was
through
very
it.
fatherly.
It was very fatherly. I really liked it. He was doing all of like the real calming down things, like tell me when your birthday is, and all. And I was like, oh, I love this. I actually do love this. This man was plotting on murdering you several times, but you don't know that.
You don't need to know that.
You don't need to know that,
That's
not at
not your
all.
business.
Oh, also Ivar with the Princess Diana name drop. I was like,
You know
okay.
what? I was like, why would he call it Princess Diana's wedding instead of like Diana and Charles' wedding? That's the only thing I thought. But like, I was like, you know what? Go off. So after the challenge, so we have tons of people with shields now.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle gets a shield, which Carolyn is upset about because Carolyn
Mm-hmm.
wanted to protect Gabby, and I do love that. But Brittany Brittany and Danielle get the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Rob and Sierra
Mm-hmm.
um get a shield. Who else was part of it? And
I,
then
Ivar and
Ivar
Sam.
and Sam.
Sam,
Um,
yes. It's
Ivar and Sam get
accurate.
the other shield. So we have six people up for murder, but one of them is a traitor. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. Getting back from the challenge.
We go home.
Yeah,
Tom continues to wage his path against Boston Rob.
yeah.
Um, and Boston Rob does a pretty valiant job of trying, or a pretty good job of trying to,
Successful job.
yes, of like getting people to basically ignore Tom.
I mean,
Ignore Tom's Horan.
he's successfully because I don't think any of the Sierra, Dolores, and Chriselle who we saw him speak with, any of them were decided on who to vote for.
Mm.
And Dolores Dolores goes, "Convince me, Rob, do your thing." And four sentences in, Sierra is bro. Rob and Sierra held hands, and she is fully on board with it, whatever he
Yes.
says.
Mm-hmm.
Sierra is like, yeah, 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 because they're trying to frame him. She's doing the selling for him as well.
Absolutely.
So we see Rob, and I want to talk about this after we talk through the roundtable, but we see Rob talk to Chriselle, Sierra, and Dolores and pretty much convince them that it's Brittany. Brittany's homegirls goes right to them. It's like, it's your girl. She's a traitor. Book it, write it down. It's over. Nothing else to discuss. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Then Tom is talking to Sam, Ivar, and Dylan, and Tom is like Dylan is actually trying to convince them to go with Brittany as well,
Yeah.
and that Rob is innocent. And the three, well, Tom and Sam we see are basically like, come on out, like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't
No.
make sense to vote anybody else out. Like that's a crazy coincidence to have happened that over and over and over and over again that Boston, oh well, they're framing him, and Tom says the thing. So it's very convenient that everybody that would be going after Rob for a banishment
Mm-hmm.
happens to end up murdered. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Brad. Like what are we
Mm-hmm.
talking about here? And
At
we
what
see.
point is it not just a frame job and clearly like Boss and Rob doing the thing?
Yeah, like how many people have to argue with him and get murdered before we start
Mhm.
looking at him? Like, let's be for real.
Yes.
And he goes and he does a quick little 1-2 with Carolyn and Danielle. I think this was Rob's mistake, is
Hmm.
not getting, like, because Rob has talked spoken consistently since he entered the turret about being one team, like being on the same accord with all of the
Hmm.
traders. And consistently, like the reason why I'm always upset about Rob getting his way in the turret is
Hmm.
exactly because it takes away agency from the other two traders,
Yes.
and he's not doing anything outside of the turret to like mend those relationships, to maintain that like team cohesion, like of the turret, right?
No.
It'd be one thing if Rob they were all agreeing with Rob's argument and they were all like on the same page and like in agreement with all of the murders, but like Danielle didn't want to murder Derek, they didn't want to murder Bob H, like
No.
Carolyn didn't want to murder Robin, she didn't want to murder Jeremy either as well too. So like there's just a lack of cohesion. As much as he's talking about, Carolyn, I would have taken you to the end, like we need to be one team. Like he's not doing a really good job to make them feel like
No.
they're all on the same team with him. And he is seemed like to be investing more of his time in like um bonding to the Chriselles and the faithfuls that he's
Yes.
manipulating ultimately.
Yeah.
I think his mistake here was like that like reluctant like whatever from Carolyn, and he just let that slide instead of being like, and even the like the sort of like the reluctant yeses that he got from both Carolyn and Danielle, like he
Hmm.
didn't do a good job of investigating like what's going on here and being like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 because the vote ended up being 7-2 to 2 to 1. Like was
Yeah.
the way these people cannot just like vote one of the two names that are on the board. Like be for real. Like Chriselle. Gabby.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I mean, not Gabby. I'm so sorry. Dylan, who voted for
Dolores.
Gabby
Oh,
after
yes.
campaigning for Rob all day. Like, write Brittany's name down. Call it a night. Like, even if you don't think she's a traitor, if you're not gonna write Rob's name down, the only way to protect Rob is to write Brittany's name down,
Is the right
dummy.
Brittany.
But if Rob gets because we talked about this last time, if he gets I mean not Dylan, Danielle and Carolyn,
Mhm.
that's now 4 votes for Brittany, and I mean, I guess Chriselle and Dolores threw their votes, right?
Mhm.
Dolores voted for Tom Madness, but like, and he was probably counting on Dylan as well too. But like, if he gets Chriselle, Danielle, and Carolyn, he has
Mhm.
5. He has the plurality to send Brittany home.
Yeah.
He just did not cultivate that. And maybe if he has one of them, maybe they are able to get someone else to definitively like because they're not speaking at the table at all. They're
No.
not they're not helping him out. They're not helping Brittany out. They're just gonna hop on the vote. And he at this point you can't be the only one stating your case.
Yes. Yes. You need people who are going, either people who are going to, like you said, bring votes with them, or at least have enough sway in the way that we talked about Bob H, where like somebody might be like, okay, but if Bob H thinks this, maybe I should think this.
Yeah, but or like
Um,
just want to like speak up for you at the table. Like
yeah.
your 2 traitor friends, which I think was the correct decision on their part, considering that he
Mm,
went home. Your 2 traitor friends did not speak up for you to just be
no.
like, yeah, somebody's coming after him. Like the person corroborating your story the most, the strongest. I mean, I guess Sierra was there, but like, come on, ain't nobody listening to Sierra. Was Dylan, who everybody knows is like you're tight with. It doesn't have the same thing as
Hmm.
when,
Hmm.
someone
Hmm.
that people might not know that you are as close with goes, no, I don't believe that. Which
Yeah.
Brittany had. She had Tom and she had Sam that were going, no, 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 hold on.
No.
It doesn't make sense that
It does not
you
make sense that it would be Brittany doing all of this hoopla on behalf of, or either to frame Boston Rob or on behalf of Boston Rob. It doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I think that's the thing that I want to talk about. And I want to talk about this turret as well too. So,
Hmm.
what are thoughts did you have on the round table?
Um, uh, Honestly, the only thing, aside from pure joy and elation at people getting their stuff together to vote Boston
I
Rob
was so
out,
scared. I was scared because
terrified.
it was 2-1, and Chriselle had voted for Tom. So
Hmm.
Rob had 2 votes, and then Tom only had 1 vote. And then Brittany, I mean, no, no, no. Sierra goes and she votes for Brittany, and Dylan votes for Gabby. And I was like, oh my God. I was so afraid. I was like, oh, he's gonna get out of it.
When
He's
Dylan voted for Gabby, I was literally like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Everybody
What are
looked
you
at him. Honestly, they
doing?
should banish Dylan just for that.
Just for that. Like Team Gabby all day, every
Like
day. He was like, here's looking at you, Gabby.
you've been up that man's butt all this time. That's your BFF, and then you're just gonna throw your vote for no reason. You're gonna burn a vote.
Burn a vote. And like again,
Idiotic, actually.
piss off the Bambies or what remains of the Bambies because the Bambies are not looking inward at each other for any reason. And so for Dylan to be like, I still think it's Gabby, it's like, oh, okay, well, you were
No,
right about
he goes. I don't think either of them are a traitor, so I'm just gonna throw you Gabby. Like he
yes, it's
doesn't
okay.
even think it's Gabby. He's just like I don't think it's one of these people, so I'm just gonna throw a name out. Like these are the 2 choices, babe. Like
That's how voting works. Unfortunately, that is how voting works in this game and elsewhere. But I was filled with so much joy about getting Boston Rob out there. And I was so like when he stands on the truth circle, I was so excited to like hear him say that he was a traitor. And then
yeah.
they erupt and I was like, yes. And then Tom does like Tom is like, look at me, I'm so smart. And I was like, okay, relax. Like a broken clock is right twice a day. Not ready for Mr. Sandoval. I was like,
Let's
okay,
go.
relax.
You know what? A win is a win. I'm not
That's true.
even doing no. A win is a win. Shout out to you, Thomas. You spotted it. You saw it. You were the
Hmm.
visionary. When everybody else had their eyes closed, the
Hmm.
third eye was open.
It was
Kundalini energy
open. It
on
was
Sandoval.
open the whole time.
Um, yeah, no, like everybody cheered except for Sierra. Sierra was sad. She was dumbfounded. She couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. And Dolores, who was just kind of like chilling. Um, but oh, long time coming.
Long time coming.
Long time coming. I
Oh,
want to know. I want to talk about how did we get here?
I had a counter question for you, which is where do you see gameplay going without Boston Rob?
So I think the faithfuls really have no information out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
and this is good for Danielle and Carolyn if
Hmm.
they recognize that this is a reset of the board. I am curious if
Hmm.
they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna get to recruit next episode, but maybe an episode down the
Hmm.
line. I would prefer that they don't recruit until another traitor was voted out. If another traitor gets voted out, because I think like
Okay.
at this point you have what 11 people now with Rob gone.
Don't give me the lion. I don't
No,
know.
I just counted 11 people. So yeah, you have 11 people with Rob gone, and putting 3 on 11, I feel like is a huge advantage for the traders. It'd be one thing if the traders got
Mm.
down to 11 and 3 of them were still in the game. Don't replenish their numbers. I feel like in the past we have replenished the traders' numbers like
Hmm.
way too liberally, and like you know let one of them go down. Like they can play 2 versus 9 for 2 versus 9, 2 versus 8, 2 versus 7,
Yeah.
for a little bit, and if one of them goes home by the time there's like 6 people remaining, 7 people remaining, maybe pop another one in at 7. But
Yeah.
anything after 5, you're just it's dolo. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be very entertaining if there was a traders with no traders. Like I think if a trader if all the traders got eliminated, they'd have to just tap another trader. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Oh, that's a very good point. Yes.
like, yeah, I wouldn't want a recruitment unless they do the ultimatum, which we saw last season. So the ultimatum is where the traders can. Recruitment is that the traders will recruit one and then
Hmm.
kill with the new person.
Hmm.
The ultimatum is they will pick one person and they give that person they meet them face to face and they give them the ultimatum to either become a traitor or die right there. So if the person
Ooh.
decides to be a traitor, then they become a traitor and there is no murder that night. All of the
Okay.
players are back in the game. But if they refuse to be a traitor, then the traitor just murders them. But why would you
Interesting.
choose murder over a traitor?
And that would be my thinking is that, well, I mean, we kind of have half of or part of that set up for next week with the meeting face to face
We
kind
won't
of
be doing it
situation.
next week, right?
Okay.
Largely because this was already set up um before the banishment.
True. Yes.
So
Okay.
they're going to murder at the top of the episode. Like they're going to expose themselves and murder. That's part of the reason they're exposing themselves because that person's not
Hmm.
going to get back in the game. But like I wouldn't mind seeing an ultimatum if there was one left. Um, yeah.
I
Now
like this.
where do Danielle and Carolyn go from here? Carolyn, baby, you got to let that hurt go. I love you.
Yes.
Danielle is trying to start anew. You have to
Yeah.
recognize the opportunity that you do have to start
Yeah.
anew. You can't go around tomorrow throwing Danielle's name out. You really need to work with her.
Yeah.
They need to start talking to each other. And then what I really wanted to talk about is the logic of murder. They need to start talking about not just who they're murdering in the turret,
Hmm.
what story they're spinning to other faithfuls when they're in conversation with faithfuls
T.
and
T.
who they're trying to get banished. I think
Absolutely.
Boston Rob's like biggest mistake this game was murdering for personal vendetta
Yeah.
and not like really having an active idea. Like for example, if Dylan doesn't come to him with that Brittany thing, who does Rob go after at the round table, or does he just try to like hop on with what he thinks the other faithfuls are doing? Like I don't think he had that answer. Like I know
No.
Rob is like super smart and really good at this stuff. I feel like even after Bob H, I don't think he had an answer, right? I think the West thing kind of just presented itself. I think the
Yeah.
Nikki thing was already kind of voting out, like
Absolutely.
floating out there. He after Robin, like I don't think a lot of this stuff has been like well thought out enough narratively to make sense for the faithfuls.
Makes yes, I completely agree. I mean, there has to be more front of house and back of house planning as the traders moving forward, especially to, I would argue, especially for Carolyn to learn, I guess, how to trust Danielle again. Like, let's actually have a game plan going forward. And if you see me carrying out the game plan, like you should be able to trust me at least that far.
Yeah, like for them, I if we see their turret, because I don't think we saw it, other than that little bit of
Mm,
Danielle being like, no, let's start over, and Carolyn being like, but you got Brittany's back more than me, like, and Danielle's like, no, like, she's not a traitor, you're a traitor.
yeah.
Like, I think like what needs to happen, they need to go, okay, who are we murdering today? And when we murder them,
Hmm.
who are we trying to pin it on? Like every murder going
Hmm.
forward should have
Hmm.
a primary target that would have wanted that person out that is neither Carolyn nor Danielle.
Yes,
Like
agreed.
so, for of the people that don't have shields, Chriselle, Dolores, Dylan, Gabby, and Tom, like
Hmm.
Tom, Chriselle got beef with him, or even Chriselle, one of those two, they got beef with each other, right? If Tom goes out, hey y'all, Chriselle been talking about getting him out the game for a long minute. Maybe
Yes.
Boston Rob was keeping him in, and now that he's gone, Chriselle can advance her agenda. Also,
Yeah.
she's been piled up with Ross. She didn't even vote for him last night. She voted with him on the West vote. She voted with him on the Nikki vote. She voted with
Hmm.
him to vote out Bob the drag queen. Every
Yes.
single vote that Bob has made, she's been in on it. Like
Yes.
maybe they're
Yes.
talking, and they're always talking. They're always palled around. Like y'all need to start
Mhm.
floating Chriselle's name to the Ivars and the Sams.
Yes.
Like I tried to talk about like them getting like a girl thing together. They're not doing that. That was very clear this episode. They're not even talking to each other. Like that was
And it
super
would be
clear
nice.
that was
Yeah.
super clear this episode. Danielle has Brittany. Carolyn has
Mm.
Gabby. They need to
Hmm.
pull in Sam and Ivar. That's a majority right there.
Yes. Like truly thinking about not only the murder, but the ramifications of the murder and what the round table would
And you
look
know what I
like.
would do if I was them too?
Mm.
I would play Survivor. Play the middle. So you have Ivar, like get Ivar and Ivar, Dylan, and because I was noticing this in the episode too, like the faithfuls really aren't talking to each other either. Like, but
No.
Ivar, Dylan, Tom, and Sam are all on one side, and then
Hmm.
Chriselle, Sierra, Dolores are all on one side. Wherever Brittany and Gabby are, that's fine.
Hmm.
Carolyn and Danielle need to position themselves in the middle so that both sides are feeding them information and they're only letting in the information that
Yes.
they want to get to
Yes.
both sides.
Yes.
Like ideally what I want to see is like Carolyn working Gabby and some of Gabby's allies, and then
Hmm. Hmm.
Danielle working the Dolores and the Brittany and the Chriselles of it all.
And
And
bringing
then
that information back.
yeah, we murdered
Yes.
Tom. We pin it on Chriselle. Chriselle goes. Now we go and we murder somebody over there. Like, and just bounce back and forth. Like
Yes. An
maybe
actual plan.
get rid of a Sam. Everybody's confused. Who would have want Sam gone? Oh, I don't know. Oh, we don't have nowhere to go. Get a random vote. Just make sure it's not one of y'all two. Then you
Yes.
pop over there, get Sierra up out of here. Like, or get Sierra banished. Hold on. We haven't talked about that coffin thing in a while. What are the chances that none of those people were traitors?
And she was so, so shocked by the Boston Rob situation.
Yeah, she voted
Yeah.
with him. She was campaigning for him. She was so vocal at the table about how
Mm-hmm.
innocent he
Mm-hmm.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that like she hadn't been like partnered with him like early on, like we saw Dylan was.
Yes.
Um, we Dylan cannot be a banishment. He has to be a murderer. Nobody believes he's a faithful. Like Ivar has to be a murderer. So like their murders. The only people that they have for murder, like I wouldn't murder a Sierra or a Chriselle or something like that because
No.
those people can get banished with the right narrative.
Yes.
Nobody thinks Ivar is a traitor. Everybody knows he's a faithful. Nobody thinks Sam is a traitor.
No.
Now they're safe tonight, so cool. Um, Nobody thinks Dylan is a traitor. Like,
No.
so those have to be your murders.
Murders.
Gabby
Yeah.
can possibly be banished. So if Dylan go gets murdered, then we can get rid of Gabby. So we probably save Dylan until like 8 or 9, murder
Mm-hmm.
him, and then being like, I don't know, Gabby, he's written your name down 2 or 3 times at this point.
I love
Um,
this. You would, oh my gosh, you would make an excellent, well, I think you'd make an excellent faithful or traitor.
I don't know. I'd want to be a traitor. Being a faithful would be really hard. You won't be able to see all of this if you were a faithful. You wouldn't have nearly as
Yes,
much
that's true.
information.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think that's like Rob's thing as well too. Like Rob really made himself the biggest target on the board because he kept murdering the people who would have been banishment targets. like
Yes.
Robin. Like I thought Robin was a really bad murder. Like Robin would
Yes.
have been like people were already whispering about her being a traitor. They kind of let it go, but you can always start that flame back up again.
Hmm.
Derek again was another cover. People were already whispering about him. I think if Rob is going up against Derek at the
Yeah.
table tonight, he might still be here. Like if
Yeah.
somebody else was murdered, if like a Sam or Ivar was murdered last night, and or Brittany even, and Rob is sitting there going, I don't know, Derek. I don't know. What reason do I have to murder Brittany? What reason do I have to murder Sam? Make it make
Yes.
sense. Make it make sense.
Yes.
If you and I, why weren't you murdered last night? Because you know how I play this game. You can even lean on your reputation. You know how I play this game. When somebody says my name, I take care of it immediately. I don't wait. There's no
Yes.
reason for you to be here,
Yes.
and he already has those people that trust and believe in him.
Yes.
It's like, okay, that was the problem of getting rid of the Tonys, agreeing to murder Jeremy, agreeing to get a Derek out of here, in a West, banishing West, is that there are no more targets for banishment. Like now
Yeah.
you have to convince these faithfuls to vote out people that they are convinced are faithful. And we saw
Yes.
what happened. Three of them threw their votes because they were just like,
No. They were
no.
like, no,
Like I
I
think you're
don't buy
faithful too,
this.
but there's no way that you're convincing me that she's a traitor.
Hmm.
Whereas if that's Wes, maybe it was short sighted. His play was short sighted, and
It was.
this has been the thing that I've seen with these traitors the whole time. It's like they're having so much fun just murdering and doing the thing. Like they're not thinking about
They are.
making it make sense for the banishment that's sure to come later.
No, yes, they're not weaving a story on, like I said, front end and back end of the house, right? Like controlling the entirety of the narrative instead of just throwing a murder into the mix, which for the last three murders has been a Boston Rob like power situation. Throwing a murder into the mix that actually has a counterpoint on the banishment. It would control the narrative of the game significantly more than what they have been doing right now, which is, at least to me, bending to Boston Rob's will pretty much every night
Yeah. Um,
for every turret.
the funny thing is, like, I feel like who was it? I feel like season one did this really, really well. Like I feel like Suri, um and like Cody, I don't remember who the third traitor was, but I feel like they did this really, really well where they would like if there wasn't like anything like I said about Boston Rob earlier, I was like, you ain't Kate, like or whatever. But like they did this thing where like they would just like frame Kate every single day, and to the point where people were just like it was always a conversation, and then people were kind of like, okay, like it's probably not you, but they would like their first murder, they murdered RZA because he was like super outspoken or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then they just kind of started bouncing around like random people, like they murdered like Ryan Lochte, who like everybody was like, okay, he's a faithful. Like, just get rid of like the absolutely um clear faithfuls,
Yeah.
and you know get
And
some
use
stuff on.
banishment.
Yeah, like even last season, I remember when
Ooh.
there was one of the murders like one of the murders that the Traitors did was they like who was it? Was it was it Ekin or Bergie. Like they saved John for a little bit, but like I remember when they murdered like Ekin Sue. Ekin was like she had ties to one of the traitors, but
Mm-hmm.
like no sus on her, like clear faithful. They murdered like Bergie, who was like a clear faithful. Um, to just confuse people, and people are like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, Bergie's gone, Kevin is gone." Like, oh yeah, like it gives no information because people are like, "Okay, this person's obviously like faithful." Um,
Controlling the whole narrative. You
they're
got to
they're
control
never
the whole
gonna get
narrative.
banished at a round table. Nobody has any issues with them. They get murdered. We have no information.
Yes. Yes. Controlling the entirety of the narrative, which Boston Rob was controlling the narrative for his own purposes, to be fair.
Well, I think he did a
Um,
bad job. Like he wasn't controlling a narrative as much as he was just enacting vengeance. Like every
yes.
single time. Like he was able to spin some good stories at the table, but ultimately each of his murders specifically was just vengeance, and it was easy
Yeah.
to tie them to him. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of why he was able to convince some people because they're like, "Oh, it's so easy to tie back to
That it
Rob
must be too obvious.
that it's too obvious. Like it,
Yeah.
you know,
I loved this. I was so grateful to see
it's the
Boston
moment
Rob
we've been waiting
gone.
for.
It
I
has.
wanted to see Rob. I like Rob a lot. I wanted to see him go much further, but he really was stalling the game. Like I think he had a great moment against Bob the Drag Queen. It's probably one of the best
Yeah,
banishment like one roundtables I've ever seen on this show. And he gave us such good TV at that point, but
he
then like
did.
since then, his like inflexibility, as much as he's talking about team, his like unwillingness to like um be a part of a team
Yeah.
and let other people like take lead is ultimately why he's here. Like his
Yeah.
need to like again enact vengeance on anybody that comes for him immediately, immediate retribution
That's
is
why
why he's here. Like
Caroline,
there's nowhere to
yes.
hide anymore.
It's why Caroline doesn't believe him when he's like, "Hey, like I will take you to the end." And she's like, "Well, why would I actually believe that when you're like not really taking me seriously or any of my ideas
Yeah.
seriously this whole time?" And the first thing you do when you come in here is absolutely railroad Bob the drag queen. Effective, well, obviously, but like why would I, it wouldn't make any sense for me to therefore trust you when you have done these very particular things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love this show.
Final thoughts. Final thoughts.
Um,
What do you want
I,
to see next episode? What are you thinking for murder of our
I feel like a faithful. I
unshielded?
have no earthly idea.
No, what do you want? What do you want?
Ooh, what do I want? I want Mr. Mountbatten gone.
He's safe. He's shielded,
Oh, that's right. He's shielded. Okay, you're right. Out of people who are not shielded. Ooh,
and he's not getting banished. They'd be crazy to banish him.
it
That'd
would
just
be a
be
waste.
a free banishment for the traitors.
Yeah. Ooh, out of the people who didn't get a shield, I think I low-key want Dylan to be murdered.
I want Dylan to be murdered too. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like maybe a few episodes from now, but it wouldn't be a bad murder, honestly. I do
Mm-hmm.
think from like a Carolyn perspective, if I was Carolyn, it might raise some sus on Gabby, and if that's somebody that you want to work with
Mm.
going forward or that you want to like rely on, she might get banished as a result of
Yeah.
that murder. That's why I would save it at least for like one round
Yeah.
after like a murder and a banishment and maybe like murder him, but like yeah, like I I I
Mm-hmm.
really I feel like I feel like their best move here is Tom or Chriselle.
Ooh, okay. Okay, fair enough.
Cuz I think
They don't have shields, that's true.
they don't have shield and I mean, Dylan doesn't have a shield either, and neither does Gabby. But like, I feel like their best move here is either Tom or Chriselle, because those are the two people that have any sort of beef now, and you can. And honestly,
Yeah.
probably Chriselle, because I feel like more people believe Chriselle is innocent than probably would believe Tom. You can probably sell, and people might just banish
Yeah.
Tom just because they don't like him. Like even if they don't think he's a traitor, like I think you can sell a Tom banishment easier than a Chriselle banishment. So maybe
Yes.
murder Chriselle and then get the faithfuls to banish Tom,
Um,
and then maybe think about a Dylan. But honestly, next round, if Ivar or Sam are available to be murdered, they need
yeah.
to be them one of them two. If they're not working with you, they need to go. Like unless they're gonna vote your way and you feel confident they're gonna vote your way for the next few rounds,
Yeah.
they need to go because they're never getting banished. Especially Ivar. No one is
No.
gonna believe that Ivar is a traitor,
No.
and he's not offensive enough for people to just banish him off of the will.
Yes.
Um,
Like Tom is. Because Tom is. Ooh. I mean, again, a broken clock is right
please,
twice a day.
please, Tom is an American hero.
So
Let's
sorry.
calm
So
down with the
sorry.
slander. Like,
I'm so sorry, Mr. Zero Dark 30. I apologize so
period.
much. Tom, you are absolutely braver than any U.S. Marine. Oh my gosh. There was a point where Boston Rob kept saying, putting too much emphasis on the word murder. I was like, Rob, you're not actually killing them. They're just being removed from the show. He was like, murder. I was like, oh, okay, man. I was like, thank you for choosing to play these games instead of doing other things that you possibly could be doing at this time. That's fair.
Anything else, Maddie?
No, friend.
Okay, that yawn was crazy work.
Oh boy.
Let's get up out of here. Take us out.
Thank you all for watching this episode of the Reality Roundup focused on this season of The Traitors. Check the description box below for our other episodes about this season of The Traitors. And then obviously like, comment, subscribe on this video and to our channel, where we talk about lots of other reality TV shows.
Yeah.
Any programming notes for you, friend?
No, no, no. No notes.
Okay, then that is it. We will see you all. Actually, yes, I think we will see you all next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.